Good morning, good morning. Just waiting for you all to connect to the audio. You're all piling in. Wow, 12 more have joined the waiting room. I'm just gonna switch the waiting room off so that people can just come straight in. I might re-enable that later. So I'm getting a lot of ding-dong messages. Wow, so many showing up. This is definitely more than we usually get with the in-person sessions. Wow, there's still people joining. Bear with me as we wait for people to connect to the audio. Hopefully I'm coming through loud and clear. Can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up or just say yes in the chat or use the thank you, Jiawei. People are alert. It's good. This looks like there are still some people stuck in the waiting room. It says they're joining. We'll give them a couple minutes. While we're waiting for the internet to sort itself out, I notice, as usual, 0 videos are on. I understand that, but at the beginning of my Zoom workshops, I always ask, if you don't mind. You don't have to. Let me say you don't have to. But I will ask, if you don't mind, to switch your video on so I can see some faces so that I know I'm just not talking to myself. That's the one thing with the Zoom workshops. I feel like I just am talking to my screen. It makes me feel like a crazy person. So, well, no one's turned their camera on yet. Think about it. It would be great if you would. Still one person stuck in the waiting room. Let's give them a few seconds. If you're not going to turn your video on, that's cool, but be active in the chat. Use the reactions. In Zoom, you have all of these fun reactions, like I'm just trying to find it. There we go. All the participant reactions: yes, no, go slower, go faster. A lot of different things. Okay, it looks like everyone has more or less joined. Still one person connecting to the audio, but let's get started. Good morning. My name is Chris Chan. Hopefully you've seen me before because you're history students, and the history faculty are very active in requesting library workshops because, as you know, as year 3 history students, the library is particularly important to your research and study. So hopefully you've seen me before. Hello, if I've not met you before. Please don't call me Mr. Chan, just call me Chris. Mr. Chan makes me feel old. Chris is fine. So this morning we have, before your professors come in, and by the way, your professors, in case you missed the, or you didn't absorb the message about the timing for today's proceedings, the library workshop comes first, so you've got 1 hour with me, and then at 11:30 your professors will be coming to give you some more information, more introductions about the honors project. I hope you're not too worried about the honors project, and that's one of the goals of this library workshop, is to either let you know, or if you already know, maybe remind you of some of the many services, resources, etc. that the library provides to you, so that you can be as successful as possible with your honors project. Because obviously this is the biggest piece of research that you've done so far in your academic careers, and we want to make sure you get the most out of the library resources in particular. So I'm not just here for this workshop. Throughout, as you work on your honors project, feel free to come back to me for advice, for questions about using the library sources, and I'm more than happy to provide that to you. Still no one has turned their camera on. That's okay, I understand. Maybe it's early in the morning, maybe you haven't put your makeup and stuff on. I don't wear makeup, by the way. not often anyway. By the way, this session will be, I have started the recording on this session, so it is being recorded, and I'll try and make that available for you, if you want to review some of the stuff, or if, maybe there are people here who have missed the session for whatever reason. A recording will be available, but if you do turn on your camera, you will not be recorded. I always emphasize that. You're only recorded if you're speaking, so if your face is just there, you won't be on the recording. Is anyone going to turn on their camera? No? Still no? Okay, that's fine. I'll stop asking. Okay, let's dive in to what we'll be doing this morning. First of all, we're talking about fundamentals here. So the first, learning outcome. As you know, in the library, we operate via learning outcomes, what we expect you to be able to do after the session. The first is to be able to recognize the range of scholarly sources that you'll be expected to engage with, to analyze, to synthesize, to incorporate into your honors project. There are certain expectations, and they might be obvious, but we just want to make sure every single one of you is aware of them so that there are no problems later. 2, discipline-specific databases so that you can make effective use of them. So the library, as you hopefully know, subscribes to, hundreds of different databases, not all of them history databases, but there are many, many databases that you'll be wanting to use depending on your honors project. Just to make sure people are alive, put in the chat, what is your favorite database? What was the last database that you used? Put it in the chat now. I'm going to stop talking for 20 seconds. And take a sip of water. Hopefully after 20 seconds, there'll be the name of a few databases in the chat. Anyone? Okay. Do you use databases? That's a yes or no question. Go ahead. Just in the Zoom chat. Can you access the chat? You should, a couple of people chatted earlier. Alan, South China Morning Post, thank you. Yes, that's a kind of a recent, well, I class that as a newspaper, but we do have a newspaper database that includes the South China Morning Post, so that's the last one you used. Interesting. Yeah, South China Morning Post, we have the full historical database going back to the first issue way back in 1904? I can't remember. Very early in the 20th century. Anyone else besides that? Thank you, Alan, for replying. This is why one thing I don't like about the Zoom situation is don't know if people are awake or not. I mean, you could have all just popped in and then just left. LibGen? I'm not sure what that one is, Quing Ho. You'll have to enlighten me later, perhaps. But thank you for sharing LibGen. Well, hopefully as we go on, you'll get more warmed up and you'll get more responsive. So let's keep our fingers crossed there. Thank you, Alan and Quing Ho, for responding. Third, I want to remind you, or perhaps, depending on your level of experience, introduce you to Interlibrary Loan. Very important for the honors project, because this is a big, in-depth research project. So the library will not necessarily have every single source that you will need for your project. So you'll need to go to other libraries, but the library can facilitate that. We have relationships with hundreds of libraries around the world. So if a library in the US has something that you need, we can, in most cases, get it for you or get a scanned copy for you. So I'll talk a little bit about that. Last but not least, 2 useful tools to help you in your research, Mendeley and LibKey Nomad. Mendeley we've supported for many, many years. Hopefully some of you use it already. LibKey Nomad is a newer thing about discovering full text. And this should be news to most of you, unless you came to my learning event a couple months ago. We will not go super in-depth there because we don't have a huge amount of time, but I want to introduce them, get you up to speed, show you how you can teach yourself about them. But if you need more help and support from me later, that's absolutely fine too. I know that interactivity is super difficult on Zoom, so I'm going to try and make it a little bit easier through my friend, my favorite tool, Mentimeter. This will require me to start a different share. Hang on. Hopefully that will work. So I need to stop sharing that and start sharing this. There we go. So here we're getting set up for Mentimeter. What you need to do is go to the URL menti.com, and just to help you out, I'm going to pop that into the chat. You may not be able, oh, you can click on it now. That's great. So you can click on it there, and that will take you to this screen. Let me show you. It'll take you a screen like this, like that. And in that screen, you need to type in this code that you can see in the top. 17, oh, we got two of the same number, 6767. So go ahead and do that. And once you're there, yeah, one person has already done it, thank you. Click on one of the symbols just to show me that you're there and that you have successfully gotten into Mentimeter. Wow, a lot of likes. One question mark. 3 hearts, that's good. This is very interesting. No one has chosen the cat, which in my previous experience, the cat is the most important, most popular. Now I've said that 4 people have gone for the cat. Great. This is a good tool because it tells me that at least 40 of you are actually listening to me talk, which is always a relief. Because sometimes when you're using Zoom, I'm just talking to a grid of names. Who knows if they're there or not? But I know for a fact that at least 40 of you are here. Great. So Mentimeter, if you've not used it before, super easy to do. And it's just, quiz questions, text, feedback questions. So let's go on. Here we go. You may have noticed, and I'm not going to show you again because I assumed you were paying attention. I had a background picture in my presentation, and featured was one US president. So I should have hidden the results because obviously, okay. 8 of you very, very observant. Yes, I should have probably hidden the responses. Well, I guess it's no surprise that yes, you are all correct. Good job. It was Abraham Lincoln. One brave soul decided it was Martin Van Buren. No, it was not Martin Van Buren. Okay, so that's just a little warm-up thing to show you how Mentimeter works. It looks like that's super easy and everyone's doing it great. Leave that window open in your computer or device or whatever because we will be coming back to it later. Let's stop that and resume sharing the presentation. And there is Abraham Lincoln. All right. First learning outcome, information source for the honors project. And we're going to keep up our level of interactivity here. So we're going to start off with our first in-class exercise. So this is a thought exercise, and I've got some supplemental materials for you here. In fact, there's a link there. Don't worry about typing that link in yourself because I, again, have it prepared here. I will copy and paste that into the chat. This is a link to the exercise material. So in this exercise, very simple, very straightforward. I want you to imagine it's 10 years in the future. You're an assistant professor. You've done your PhD. Congratulations. And you are an honors project supervisor now. Wow. And you have 3 students. And via that link that I've just shared in the chat, you'll be able to see the bibliographies of their honors projects. Now, they're not really honors project bibliographies. There's only 5 or 6 sources in each one, so it's obviously not long enough to be an honors project bibliography, but just bear with me here. I want you to have a look. Think about which of them has produced the best bibliography, showing a good variety of sources. Now, whenever I do this exercise, everyone always says, oh, this one's better because they've applied Chicago style correctly. It's nothing to do with the style. All of these 3 bibliographies, they are perfect in terms of style, in terms of citation style. We're really thinking about the variety of sources. So have a look at the sources that are listed. Think about which one is best. And I'll be asking you, well, I'll first ask you all to vote as to which one is the best. And this one, the votes will be hidden. So you won't be able to see what everyone else is voting for until the end. So I ask you to vote, and then the second part, which is more important, I'll be asking you to share your textual comments on, just a few words on why you picked that source. So let's do that now, and for that I need to again switch. Gosh, I'll be doing a lot of switching this morning. Back to my friend Mentimeter. So here we go. I think I did. Oh no, I didn't hide the answers. Okay, never mind. Try not to be influenced. In fact, I'm going to stop sharing so you can't see what everyone else is voting for. But yeah, have a look at those bibliographies, and I will share that screen. Let's do that. Share. So this is what you should be able to see. If you can't see that, again, the link is in the chat there. And so you can see bibliography A, bibliography B, bibliography C. So just take a few moments and think about which one is best, and then vote for the one you think is best. I'm getting a phone call. Oh my goodness. That's good timing, actually. Keep working on that while I answer my phone. Wouldn't usually answer the phone in the middle of a workshop, but it was the university librarian's assistant. So, when my boss's assistant calls, I need to answer. Let's check your votes. Ooh, look at all those votes coming in. Interesting. A lot of votes there for bibliography A, 1 for bibliography B, 12 votes for bibliography C. Okay, so there's a split here. Okay, now we come to the more interesting question, which is, why do you think the one you chose is best? And remember to say which one you chose. So don't just put, I think it's best because blah, 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 because I don't know which one you picked. So put, I chose A because blah, 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 or I chose C because blah, blah, blah. Got it? And it's totally anonymous. It's not linked to Zoom. So, don't be afraid of saying anything silly, because there's no such thing as a silly answer or a wrong. Well, there is such a thing as a wrong answer in this context, but don't feel bad. Wow, this is very quick. A, because it's detailed. Well, maybe give me a little bit more information than that. So it's detailed in what way? C, because the sources are formal and academic. Okay, I certainly wouldn't dispute that. Chose C because all are monographs. Interesting. Okay, I'm going to stop. I'm not going to just read these out to you. I'm going to shut up for 1 minute and just let you answer, and then I'll go through some of the ones that I think are interesting. In fact, I think I can set a time limit. There you go. I've given you 1 minute. 1 minute to answer. Ah, this is great. This is good evidence people are listening. Excellent. I feel like we should have some music for this sort of, I suppose I could sing, but that's probably not a good idea, especially if we're recording the session. Wow, someone with all caps. Stop shouting at me. Just kidding. Oh, by the way, I should have mentioned this might be a little bit difficult to see if you're on a mobile phone, but hopefully you saw most of it. Okay, voting is closed. Thank you, everyone. Quite a few of you threw in a comment, which is great. Let me just take a quick look at these bibliographies. Now, one person said B. That was the minority opinion, and that's fine. It's fine to, be different from the crowd. And the justifications you gave were pretty good. It includes a public internet resource, a video, and also, which is true, an official government document. So you are probably referring here to this, the transcript of the Emancipation Proclamation, which is definitely a primary source. I would caution you, though, that if your honors project bibliography like this one, you can see here 4 out of 5, 80% of the sources are online sources. That's tricky, especially for things like YouTube videos where it may be a credible source, but it's hard to tell from a YouTube video, because anyone can post anything to YouTube, right? It might be good, it might not be. One thing on Wikipedia, that Wikipedia can be great for getting background information, and it can be totally fine for discovering other credible sources, but you really shouldn't be citing Wikipedia certainly in your honors project article. Honors project reference list. So I would say bibliography B has too many online sources and some questionable credibility on some of the sources. So I do agree with the general vote that it's really between C and A. Now C, they're definitely all credible sources. They're definitely, like this person here says, they're definitely all formal and academic. If we have a look at them again, you can see all books, in fact, as this person says, using very advanced, very library jargon here, monographs, which is a formal way to say books. Yes, they're all monographs. As you can see here from Norton, Viking, Oxford University Press. So these are all legitimate scholarly and commercial publishers. But I would say that that's also a knock against it, because as other people have said about why they chose A, it's because of the diversity of sources. And that's actually what we do want to see as well. So C is definitely formal and academic, and I would say maybe acceptable for your honors project, but they're all one type of source. And we would like to see a diversity of sources. And also, they're all secondary sources, right? In your honors project, you definitely want to be dealing with more primary sources. And this one bibliography A has that same Emancipation Proclamation as an official primary source, but it also has monographs, as the bibliography C has, but it also has journal articles. So another important source of secondary literature are the journal articles. It even has a PhD dissertation. Now, ordinarily, you may not have, for your assignments, you may not have engaged too much with things like PhD and master's theses, because they're kind of high level. They're kind of very detailed and may not have been necessary for your assignments thus far. But for your honors project, if you're really diving into depth on a topic or a research area, relevant PhD theses can be a really good source of information. So yeah, I agree with those who said A, as this person says here. The variety of sources is greatest, and this person's answer was very, very good. Contains both primary and secondary sources coming from credible backgrounds. So very well done to this person. Good job. I think everyone is pretty clear on the source diversity and the expectations when it comes to your bibliography. And you might think, oh gosh, isn't this really obvious? You would be surprised. I have seen honors projects where the worst one I ever saw, and it wasn't from the history department, let me be clear, because the history department is smart. It has an honors project workshop, library workshop. Some departments don't have a library workshop for the honors project. And I saw one from another department where the student it was just one page, like a one-page bibliography or honors project. Oh my goodness. And it was all websites. and the faculty who showed it to me just couldn't believe it. Like, just, this is crazy. So, you know, this is why we state very clearly right at the beginning of the process what the expectations are. Now, I'm not going to give you an exact number. I did, you know, years ago, we didn't call it an honors project at my university. We called it a dissertation, but very similar. By the way, I forgot, don't think I mentioned this, but I did history as well as an undergraduate some years ago. I won't tell you how many years. But when I did my final year project, you know, it was a very long bibliography. I think it was almost 100 different sources. Now, of course, it will depend on your exact topic and how you approach the topics as to how many sources you cite, but it will not be a small number, right? At least dozens of sources of, you know, highly credible origins. So very brief recap. We don't have to spend too long on this because I think we covered most of the points. You should let me know too if I start speaking too fast. I just kind of realized I was speaking very fast. Let me calm down. I get very excited about library research. Okay, what makes a good bibliography? So this is something I don't think I did actually mention. When we do marking, like I'm marking some papers right now, one of the first things that the marker will often do is look at your bibliography, because it reveals these things: quality, reliability, validity, authority of the sources that you've used. So your supervisor or the marker can see at a glance how much effort you've put into the research process. As we've mentioned, the bulk of your list should be scholarly sources, you know, books, monographs, journal articles, primary sources. Now, that's not to say you can't use websites or you can't use blogs, but they definitely shouldn't be the foundation of your reference list. They should be supplementary. And you have to be very, very careful about the credibility of the authority of the sources. So ask me if you're not sure. Now, what's the easiest way to get these high quality sources? Of course, it's by using the tools and services on the library website, which we will shortly turn our attention to. But before we do that, I just wanted to let you know that if you want to look at previous examples of honors projects, we have the honors project database on the library website. And by the way, at the end, I'm going to give you a link to a guide that I've put together for the honors project, the history honors project. The links to all of these will be there. I have to say, our honors project database, it's pretty out of date. As you can see, we've got some old honors projects from kind of the early 2000s, and you can see there's full text of them. So, and also certainly all the full text ones are in Chinese, but they can be indicative. Now, if you want to see more recent or more comprehensive examples, I encourage you to actually go to the Special Collections and Learning Center in the department, because there you will find a near complete collection of past honors projects in hard copy. And as you know, the department has been around for 40 plus years, so there are many, many, many honors projects there for you to browse, see how people have done in the past, have done their bibliographies, etc. It's open weekday afternoons, and I just checked with your department. They're still open, or they have reopened, I guess, in the wake of the lifting of restrictions. So that's, I don't know what happened there. And also, there are sometimes people, teaching assistants, research postgraduate students available to answer your questions too. So it's a great way to interact with other folks in your department. So bear that in mind. Okay, number 2, finding scholarly sources. I just like using Mentimeter, so I haven't told you this in the presentation, but I want to, you're year 3 history students, so hopefully you know the answer to this question. On which floor of the library will you find our collection of English language, not Chinese language, English language history books? So turn back to your Mentimeter and, this is by the way, this is start of a quiz question, so or a quiz sequence. We will have many questions on the quiz. So I think you can choose your name. So I'll actually give you a couple minutes. Well, not that long. Give you 30 seconds to choose your name. By the way, if you lost your Mentimeter window for whatever reason, the number is up on every slide. So you can just go to menti.com and use that code there, 176767. I have to be very careful with my posture doing Zoom. I find I hunch over the microphone, which is probably not good for my back. All right, 42 of you, let's go ahead and start. This is just a simple question. So again, the question is, and there's a time limit, by the way, and you get more points the faster you answer. Which floor of the library do we keep the collection of English language history books? You have 15 seconds, and this time you cannot see everyone else's answers. Oh, they enhanced Mentimeter. They didn't have this down here before. This is great. Time's up. The answer, of course, oh no. well, at least it was the most popular answer. Yes, level 6. Level 6 is where we keep the history books. If you know your Dewey Decimal Classification, it's the 900s is the code number for history. So, I guess maybe many of you are scholars of Chinese history. And of course, all of our Chinese books are up on the 7th floor. Good job. Keep that window open as per usual. That was just a little fun. Well, it was fun for me. I don't know how fun it was for you. Quiz question. We'll have more quiz questions later. Oh, but before I start talking about databases, I did want to remind you of a few advanced options that we have in OneSearch. So I'm switching back and forth between these windows really quickly. I hope you're not getting dizzy. There we go. So here's OneSearch. The OneSearch you know and love, of course. You use it all the time, I imagine. In fact, they're making many enhancements to OneSearch, and there's one recent enhancement I want to show you about. But I just wanted to remind you all of the advanced search functions. Sorry, I'm meant to speak to the camera. Advanced search functions that we have in OneSearch. So I'm doing a simple search for the American Civil War. By the way, when I was a history student, that's what I studied a lot, is the American Civil War. So, as you know, OneSearch by default will search everything, which is often not the best way to search because, as you can see here, you get almost 700,000 results, which is way too much. So you can limit your search to books. There we go. Apply filters, and there's only 1,000. Here's the new feature of OneSearch, brand new feature, just came in 2 weeks ago. You can now tell OneSearch to remember your filters, because if you remember, if you've used OneSearch in the past, one thing I found really annoying was that whenever you changed your search, right, like, oh, American Civil War and, Lincoln, it would forget that you just wanted to search for books, and then you did the search, and then it would search for everything again, and then you can see 140,000 results, and you had to apply the filter again. Very tedious. But now you can see this new button here, remember all filters. So you click there, and then you can see the little lock appears on the filter. So now I can redo my search. I'll redo my original search. And you can see that it remembers I'm just interested in books, and it leaves that filter on. Little thing, but actually it saves 50% of your clicks. So it's a real time saver. Hot new tip for you. Top tip, and if you've had a history workshop with me sometime in the past 3 years, I'm sure I've mentioned this to you before, but it's worth repeating. If you're searching for those primary source collections, so remember in the library book collection, in the monograph collection, we do have these edited collections of primary sources, which can be really, really useful because they've been edited and commented upon by experts. So they're not just primary sources, they're primary sources in context with commentary, super useful. The easiest way to find them is to add a subject field. So your keywords here, any field contains American Civil War with the subject containing sources. So in the library catalog or the library system, we don't call them primary sources, we just call them sources. And then if I do this search, and by the way, keep the book filter on, that's important too. We filter down to books that cover or that include primary sources. So you can see here, this book here, it's online as well. American Eras Primary Sources, Civil War and Reconstruction. So this is an online book. This is an ebook containing a lot of Civil War sources, which, I got to be careful. I'm not going to go through them because I'll start browsing them and I'll start getting too interested in them. So, but anyway, very easy to narrow down quickly to our primary source collections. One final reminder for OneSearch. Remember, for your honors project, you want to look beyond the library's, HKView library's collections. You're hopefully familiar with Hong Kong All. This is a service whereby we can get books from the other UGC universities, Hong Kong UC, UHK, whatever. We can have those books delivered here, and you can search that collection directly via the Hong Kong All search option here. So this opens it up so you can see HKView results are still included, but if, like for example, this one, I don't think we have, oh, these are all online books, so that's not a good example. But any physical book there that is held by another university library, you can access that, or you can request that to be sent to HKView. Just a reminder, you have to be signed in to do that. You just sign in. It's always a good idea, actually, to sign into OneSearch, because then you can do things like remember your search history, save searches, save particular books. Like, oh, if I want to come back to this book later, I can save that to my favorites, etc. Just gonna quickly remove that from my favorites because I don't actually want that in there. Great. Let me know if there are any questions. As I said at the beginning, if you have questions at any time, just throw them into the chat and I will keep an eye on that. I don't see any. Oh gosh, it's already past 11 o'clock. I'm taking too much time as usual. Let me quickly switch back to this. Oops, that's gone very huge. Let's quickly go through databases. So OneSearch is for books, and hopefully you know that already. We had a quick recap. But databases are super important too. So OneSearch, Google Scholar, they're fine for getting started on a topic. But again, as I've repeated many times, hopefully, so that the message gets through, your honors project is a really in-depth, big scholarly research project. So the disciplinary databases are going to be important. I'm going to talk about two in particular, historical abstracts and the bibliography of Asian studies. The advantages of using databases are manifold, but I'll talk about three in particular: the focused search they offer, the specialized search limits that they can do, and also, well, not really just the automatic citation generation, but the general tools, the research tools that are included. So what do I mean by a focused search? Google Scholar, which you've probably used, that's searching everything. You know, Google's mission is to organize all of human knowledge, which is a huge amount, right? And that means you're digging through a gigantic pile. You know, Google Scholar's algorithm is great for sure, but it's not so amazing that it can go into the big morass of information and pull out the exact best topic or the exact best source for your topic. That's not going to happen. There's going to be a lot of bad stuff in there as well. And that's the big difference between Google Scholar and a database. Google Scholar is constructed by computer, by algorithms, by robots crawling the internet. Disciplinary databases like historical abstracts, they're put together by human beings. There are professional catalogers who organize these resources, and they focus only on the historical literature. So instead, there's no chemistry databases, there's no physics, mathematics, none of that is in there. It's all in Google Scholar, and it may interfere with your search. In historical abstracts, it's just the historical literature. So focus searching is a big thing. I don't know why that's happening. Anyway, let's push through. Specialized search limits, because they specialize in one discipline, they can introduce search limiters and other things that just can't be done in Google Scholar. The best example from historical abstracts is that it allows you to restrict your results to a specific historical period. So if you're interested in the 19th century, you can specify the 19th century here. That's not when the article was written, that's what the article is about. And I'll try and show that to you in a live demo in a second. Automatic citation generation, you should be familiar with that. I'll just quickly go through that. Just one note about automatic citation generation is be sure to check the results, right? Don't just copy and paste into the bibliography because there will almost certainly be mistakes. I see that all the time and it gets kind of annoying. As you probably know, I don't really speak Chinese. It's very embarrassing. But we do have many Chinese language databases. The big one is China Academic Journals for Chinese language articles. Don't hesitate. You can still come and ask me if you have questions about this. I will connect you with my more learned colleagues who are able to provide expert guidance as to the use of this database. Primary source databases. This has been a big focus for the library's collection development over the years, and we have some really amazing collection. I would say 10 years ago, we had not nearly as much in terms of original, scanned, digitized primary sources. We now have, this number has gone up. I think it's now 77 or something like that, but over 70 databases of primary sources, including newspapers. So Alan at the beginning mentioned South China Morning Post. We have other newspapers as well. This is the Times of India. We have the New York Times. And again, these are exact reproductions of the historical newspapers. And we're increasingly focusing on the Chinese language sources. This is brand new. We just announced this acquisition this week. So this is the, if I haven't misremembered, this is the Qing Dynasty. It's the court diaries of the Qing Dynasty. So if your focus is on Chinese history, obviously these types of sources are going to be incredibly useful to you. So the best way, sorry, let me zoom out of here. The best way to find or just to explore these sources is the A to Z list, the A to Z databases list. And I just want to, because that's so important, I do want to quickly just show that to you here. So on the library website, one search is here, but just hang on to the, go to the right here. There's databases, and this is the A to Z list. So you can see A to Z and Chinese. You can also, and this is what I would encourage you to do, you can browse by type, and primary sources is one of the types. So you can click there. And there's, yes, I was right, 77 databases currently for primary sources. Gosh, there are so many. And you can browse the list and see what we have available. And this is actually good because at the moment you haven't settled upon your topic yet, right? So actually a really good strategy is, to make your life easier, is to look and see what the library has and maybe adjust your topic to fit what we have in terms of primary sources, because that will make your life a lot easier. It's really bad if you choose a topic and you commit to a topic and then you go to the library and find out, oh, the library doesn't really have anything on my topic. That's a problem. So yeah, I would encourage you, before you finalize your honors project topic, to have a look here to see what we have. Back to the presentation. Gosh, I feel I'm running out of time. As usual. Oops. Most important thing though, live demo. I might just do historical abstracts because of the time. They're both very similar in terms of interface, but I now want to do a quick live demo of the first database, which is historical abstracts. So for that, I will go back here. And how to find historical abstracts? Again, it's on the A to Z list. You can either go to H, or if you know the name, you can just type in the first part of the name, and there it will come up pretty close to the top. Here is historical abstracts. So it's not much of a looker. It's an EBSCOhost. By the way, people often get confused. The name of the database is not EBSCOhost. EBSCOhost is a database provider that gives us, as you can see here, many databases. The database itself that we're interested in is historical abstracts. By the way, bibliography of Asian studies is here too, but I'm not searching bibliography of Asian studies at the moment. I'm only searching historical abstracts. And that's important because if you search 2 or more databases at once, you will lose some of the search options. Like, remember, I talked to you about, let me just cancel that, about this searching by historical period. That is a feature unique to historical abstracts. So if I searched another database at the same time, that option would disappear. So it's actually better from a scholarship perspective to focus on one database at a time. So what am I going to demonstrate here? Slavery. Since I'm doing my Civil War theme, you can do simple keyword searches and you'll get too many results, 10,000, almost 10,000 results. So we need to be more focused, which is why I always recommend doing an advanced search. So slavery, unfortunately, was present through much of human history. quite only recently abolished, and in some circumstances still going on. Let's focus the historical period. I've told you about this feature. Let's see how it works. So I want to focus on the 19th century. So I will change the historical period to 1800 to 1900 AD. And then I will refine. I do my search. And the number of results goes down. But of course, the 19th century is kind of a big year for slavery. Well, a big year for slavery. It's a big year because slavery was abolished through much of the world in that century. So still 7,000 plus results. Now, if I'm interested in the United States, I can add that here. I would even encourage you to add it as a subject term. So similar to OneSearch, you can specify things as being, just a keyword anywhere or a subject term. And subject terms will be more specific. So we should get fewer results with this search. Hopefully not too few, but let's see. Yeah, 980 plus. So that's still good. So notice for each entry here, this historical period. So this is the historical period that this article covers. And this information is added by a human being. So this is not available in Google Scholar, this sort of functionality, which can be really useful in focusing your search. So here's, let's see, economic growth, slavery then and now. So I just want to quickly demonstrate how to get full text. So full text is not always available for articles here. So you can see here where it is available, you can just click on the PDF full text and you can download it. But for some, let's try and find one that's a likely one here. So for example, this one, Contesting Slavery in the Global Market, there is no full text in this database. That doesn't mean we don't have it, you need to check. Now, because there's something wrong with my computer, there should be an icon here that says check for full text availability, check full text HKBU library. So it might look different on your screen, but simple, just click there. It will check. So it actually goes to OneSearch to see if we have the full text. If we do have the full text, it will take you directly to it. If we don't, you will see a screen like this where you can request the article via Interlibrary Loan. And this is a great place to move on to our next topic, which is Interlibrary Loan. So let me go back to my presentation. Let me just quickly check the chat. No questions. Okay, I assume I'm being very clear or everyone has fallen asleep. Let's check to see if you're awake or not, because I do want to ask you a couple of poll questions to make sure you were in fact paying attention. So go to your Mentimeter screen, which mine is here. And we'll go to the next question. Oh, by the way, I forgot, we have a leaderboard to see who got the most points in our first quiz round. David, good job. I'm not sure if that's your real name, but we have a second round of our quiz now, quiz poll 2. Go ahead and tap one of the icons there just to let me know you're alive, you're awake. Good, okay. Here's the next question. There are 2 questions this time. Based on my remarks, which of the following is not an advantage of a disciplinary database? Specialized search options, focus search, high quality scholarly sources, or ease of use, with their extreme ease of use. Interesting. Very good. Gold stars for everyone, or at least the 28 of you that answered the poll. Yes, that's correct. They're not easy to use for beginners. You need to really work at it, but if you do so, the benefits can be compelling. Second question. What's the easiest way to browse our collection of primary source databases? I did show this to you, so hopefully it embedded in your brain. In a good way, of course, not in a parasitical alien sort of way. 30 people have answered. Good on you. The A to Z list, yes. A few more people got that wrong. OneSearch and historical abstracts are not a great way to browse because you have to put in keywords. The database list is much better because it just gives you the list of everything and you can explore what we have to offer. Great job. Gosh, I feel like I have to accelerate because I'm running out of time. Interlibrary Loan, very brief reminder. If you haven't used Interlibrary Loan before, hopefully you have, it's essential for your honors project. It really is. It allows you to obtain journal articles from around the world for free, no charge. We don't have any quota. You can request those for free. We have relationships with universities in the US, Europe, so any secondary, any published journal article, we can get it for you, which is why you need to use historical abstracts, because that will explore things that we don't have. And we generally deliver quite quickly, within 3 to 4 working days. It can, in unusual circumstances, it can take up to maybe 2 weeks, and in the worst cases, even a month. But that's why for honors project research, you start early, right? So please do not leave your honors project research to the last minute. Sometimes folks ask about books. If you can't find a book through Hong Kong All, you can try to request a book through Interlibrary Loan. Be aware, though, because that involves shipping a physical book from overseas to the library, there may be handling charges, and they're about $400, so not cheap. We will tell you how much it will cost before we confirm the order, though. So you might, if you find there's a book that nowhere in Hong Kong has it, and it's vitally important to your honors project, you can consider it, but it's an option that's potentially available to you. I'm not going to show you this video because of time, but the link again will be in the guide that I send you later. All right, let's very quickly do our final quiz poll to make sure those points about Interlibrary Loan got across. Ooh, first we check in on the leaderboard. By the way, there's no prize, so the leaderboard is just for fun. Who is in the lead now? Is it Alan? It wouldn't surprise me because Alan has been very engaged. Thanks, Alan. Alan, you're in the lead. So 2 questions stand between you and victory. Quiz poll number 3. Wow, people very quick at hitting the heart or the cat. I didn't give you any other options there. Looks like most of you are there. Here we go. Next question. This is a pretty easy question. It's just to make sure you were listening, really. Books can be requested via Interlibrary Loan, true or false? Remember, quicker gets you more points. So if you tapped really fast, you got more points. Trying to make it competitive. Answer, of course, is true. 2 people put false. Oh my goodness. I guess maybe your finger slipped. Let's chalk it up to that. Last question. How much does it usually cost to obtain a journal article through Interlibrary Loan? Ooh, I caught some of you out with that $400 for books, not for journal articles. So yes, most of you got that one right. To get a journal article is completely free. So use Interlibrary Loan for journal articles as much as you need. Final leaderboard. Was Alan quick off the mark there? Did Alan get all those right? Was someone quicker? Looks like no. Good job, Alan. You won. Oh, Alvin was very close, though. Well done, Alan. Good job. Excellent. Yeah, sorry, no prize. It's virtual, so I can't really give you anything. All right. We're in a position now to move on to our last section, which is just mentioning a couple of useful tools. Modern reference managers. If you haven't been using a reference manager up until now, you really should consider using one for your honors project, because again, you're going to be dealing with dozens and dozens and dozens of sources potentially, and that can be really hard to keep track of. So reference managers nowadays, they let you save PDFs, so you can access all your stuff from the cloud. You can make highlights and notes on your documents directly. But in terms of time saving, generating your bibliographies automatically, super important, super cool. We provide support for Mendeley. That's the one I've been using for, gosh, maybe 7 or 8 years I've been using Mendeley. I find it to be really good. I want to show you this. I'll just talk over this brief video, which shows you, now the Mendeley is built into Microsoft Word. There's a plugin for it. So everything that I save to my Mendeley library, I can access directly from Microsoft Word. And it's going to be so important for your honors project because it's really easy to lose track of what you've cited and what's in the bibliography. But when you use something like Mendeley, you can be sure there will be an exact correlation. When you cite something like this, you can see here, by the way, it's APA style, but you can choose Chicago style if that's what you're using. So you can see I've plugged in all of the in-text citations, and then just click on More, Insert Bibliography, Continue, and it's just inserted with one click. I mean, this is amazing. I really wish I had this when I was an undergraduate student, because I remember when I did my bibliography for my dissertation, it literally took me 3 days to do it because, you know, it wasn't handwritten. I'm not that old. I still had a computer, but I had to type them all out. I found that sometimes I had forgotten to write down the details. I had to go back to the library and find the book again and find the details. So getting on top of your reference management is going to be so important for making sure you're efficient with your research process. So this is not a Mendeley tutorial. We don't have time to do that. That's a 1 hour thing. And if there's demand, if a lot of people come to me and say, we'd like to have a tutorial, I'm happy to organize those. I usually do a Mendeley event in September, but I would encourage you to learn it before then, because obviously over the summer, you're going to want to get started on your honors project research. So if you have questions about Mendeley, come and ask me. New tool, LibKey Nomad. I don't have a lot of time to show it to you here, but essentially when you're using other tools, even if it's not OneSearch or one of our databases, LibKey Nomad can link you to full text. So I just want to quickly share my other screen here. Good job, Alan, again. So I have LibKey Nomad installed here. It's this little icon. So it's available in the Chrome store. I'm going to assume that you know how the Chrome store works, so I'm not going to show you how to install it, but it's really easy. Once it's installed, you just need to select, oh, I'm from HKBU. And then whenever, no matter what, even Wikipedia, and it works for Google Scholar too, like you go, let's just do American Civil War. You do a search, and any reference, so you can see here, this little icon appears here, like, oh, LibKey Nomad from HKBU is active. And if you go to the because I mentioned, references in Wikipedia can be useful. If we have the PDF, it gives you this link to the library's subscription. So you can very quickly find the full text, like either from an article link. If we don't have it, it can quickly link you to Interlibrary Loan or to OneSearch. So this is a very new tool just out in the past couple of months. I found it very useful for linking to full text. If you use Chrome, I encourage you to find it in the Chrome store and install it. They're working on a Firefox version, and a Firefox version should be out soon too. So I will link to that too in the guide. Gosh, I have 2 minutes left, so let's wrap things up. So we've talked about, expectations in terms of the sources that you'll use, the benefits of our databases. Hopefully that was either a refresher for you or just a reminder that you need to make use of things like historical abstracts, bibliography of Asian studies, these scholarly databases. I can't stress enough, Interlibrary Loan is going to be vital for your honors project if you really want to do that in-depth research, because we have a great collection in the library, but we don't have everything. So the libraries of other institutions are going to be an important source as well. And do look into these tools, especially Mendeley and LibKey Nomad, can make your life a lot easier. Oh, if only I had them when I was an undergraduate student, I would have saved so much time. Finally, everything that we've covered today is in this guide, the Honors Project Guide. The link is there. By the way, this whole presentation will be shared with you. The department will be sending you a link to this. So well, let me just show you actually on screen. Hang on, let me change the window. I'm getting pretty good at changing windows. Here we go. So here's the guide. So apart from oh gosh, that lovely photo of me, there's the presentation that I've just run through. all of the databases that I've mentioned, all of the primary source information. There's that video that I didn't have time to show, etc., etc., etc. So all of that is there for you to consult later. Gosh, there's lots of funny sounds happening. I think more people are joining our room, which is great, which means it's almost time for me to stop. I think my timing has been almost perfect. Last thing, if you want help, approach me directly. You can sign up through the consultation form there or just email me, that's fine. The last thing I'll say, very good luck to you. I know it might seem daunting at this point, such a big thing to do, but from my personal experience, I know you will have a lot of fun, especially if you choose a topic that you're really interested in and really keen on. It can be a really fantastic experience doing such in-depth research. And the library is here to support you in that.